How's it going, Dopamon fans? With Slovakia's bronze medal victory over Sweden, the Olympics are almost over, but the best hockey has yet to begin as the gold medal game between Finland and the ROC, or Russia, is set for noon local time on February 20th, which, for those of you in North America, is 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, February 19th. I'm going to give you a preview of the game, so drop a like and subscribe to stick around, as we'll also be live streaming the game and be doing a recap afterwards. So, let's get into it by talking about how these two teams got here. Unlike the bronze medal game between Slovakia and Sweden, these two teams come from different groups and haven't faced each other yet. The Group B that Russia played in for the preliminaries was a much lower scoring group with much more parity between the teams, so you'll often see that it's difficult to compare some of the individual stats between Finland and Russia. Finland went undefeated in the preliminaries, of course, while Russia lost to Czechia 6-5 in overtime. Leading their respective groups, both teams automatically qualified for the quarterfinals. Both teams put up a substantial first win and then followed it with a tight second victory. Finland's second goal in their 2-0 win over Slovakia was an empty net, and Russia was put to almost 10 rounds of the shootout before beating Sweden 2-1. Both these teams have shown that in a close, tight game, they have what it takes to edge the other. These are the two best teams in the tournament and have earned their spot in the finals. Leading the way offensively for Finland here has been their first-line pair of Sakari Manninen and Teemu Hartikainen, along with Marcus Granlund on the wing, who hasn't been on the score sheet as much. This is also the top line for the Salavet Yuleev Ufa team in the KHL. These three Finns play together on what is one of the best offensive lines in the KHL for the past 2 years, so it's no surprise that they're dominant together here as well. For Russia, their offense has been a little bit more well-rounded, with no player having scored more than 2 goals, and Nikita Gusev leading in points with no goals, but 5 assists. Unlike the Finnish roster, this team's a little bit more well-balanced with no superstar line, but a solid 4 lines rolling of skill, which reflects on the score sheet. I also mentioned earlier that Russia being in a much lower scoring group makes these comparisons difficult, and their points seem a lot lower. That brings us to the biggest factor of all, goaltending. You need good goaltending to win, and these teams have got it. For Finland, Harri Sateri has been a starter throughout all but 1 game so far, and has been sharp and busy, letting in only 4 goals on 115 shots. On the other side, Russia's Ivan Fedotov has played every single game for them, and other than one 6-goal overtime loss to Czechia, he has 2 shutouts and 2 1-goal games through the other 4 games in the tournament. That's only 2 goals and 250 minutes of ice time outside of that 1 loss, so he can turn it on when he needs to. But as much as I want to credit the goalies in this matchup, I think it's going to be a much more offensive battle than the goaltending battle we saw in the bronze medal match between Slovakia and Sweden, and I'll explain why. No two teams have dipped into the KHL more so than Finland and Russia, or has as much KHL experience. Russia's team, of course, all currently playing in the KHL, but 17 players on the Finnish roster do so too. I think that's part of the reason both teams are in the finals. The KHL is the best league outside of the NHL. That means these teams know each other fairly well. These rosters are well acquainted with one another, and I feel the grind of this game will come down to those offensive leaders rather than the goaltenders. I also feel like the lower scoring group that Russia played for in the preliminaries gives a false impression of having a weaker offensive core, having scored less goals. Both these teams are absolutely stacked with offensive talent, and I think it's going to stand out most in this game. So my prediction, 4-3 Finland in overtime. I think both goalies are going to get tested harder than they have all tournament and bring the save percentage down to something more typical of hockey than the .950 save percentages we've seen throughout much of this tournament. That being said, I've been super high on Finland all tournament. I even had them winning gold in a much earlier prediction video we have on the channel. I think they're simply the best team here and are gonna show it tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a comment with your predictions down below, what you think the score will be, who the scorers could be, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to keep up with our coverage of the gold medal game here at the Olympics in Beijing. Where Dopamon, my best friend, and I talk hockey news, analysis, trade speculation, mock drafts, and scouting reports, and we'll be doing a live stream of this game and be following it up with a recap afterwards, so stick around. Peace.